You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show. The preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com, thechrisvossshow.com. Welcome to the show, my family and friends. We certainly appreciate you. The show that loves you, but doesn't judge you, at least not as harshly as, I don't know. I got to make up something new other than the mother-in-law or your mom or your wife or your kids. Or the show that doesn't judge you as harshly as that lady who gives you that dirty look at the grocery store. I don't know what that means, but maybe you shouldn't cut in line at the grocery store. So I don't know. We'll make up some different new things for that. Anyway, we have an exciting gentleman, author on the show. He is passionate about his topic. I think you're going to find that. And he's going to be passionate, filling your mind and your soul and your emotional being. You see what I'm up to here? I'm trying to make this work out. And it's going to be an exciting show. And damn it, if you're not excited, well, you might want to check your heartbeat. Check your pulse, because you could be dead. But if you're listening to the show still and you're not dead, well, you're probably me on Mondays. He is an amazing author that we have on the show, and he's going to be talking about his newest book called Brain Glue: How Selling Becomes Much Easier by Making Your Ideas Sticky. Came out January 18th, 2023 by James I. Bond. Is it James I or James L? I want to make sure I have that right. James I. Bond. He also uses that line to pick up chicks. No, I'm just kidding. He's married for long years. But brain glue. Now, this is not the same thing I use when I bleed profusely from the brain from doing too many episodes of the Chris Voss Show. As we mentioned in the beginning, there's lots of brain bleeding. Don't use brain glue. Go see the ER department, or get a front little bottle like me. That's how I hold what's left of my brain is brain glue. Anyway, we're talking to him about his amazing book, and he's very passionate about it. I think you're going to love it. You're going to learn how to sell ideas, motivate people, et cetera, and get more of what you want in life. In the meantime, as always, though, all the shaming and guilt we can put on you, please go to iTunes, give us a 5-star review. We love the people that go write those beautiful reviews about us and tell us that I'm the sexiest man alive, that it's the greatest show they've ever listened to, and all that stuff. We love you people. You guys are great. I know it's hard to go to iTunes and fill out that review section and find it and stuff. And if you ever want help, let me know. We actually give it to authors, and they're just like, we can't figure out how to get there. But those people who do, you guys are the warriors. There you go. I don't know what that means. Anyway, are we doing warriors on the show? What the hell's going on? Do we have a new mascot? So we're going to be talking to him. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, youtube.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss. And we have finally figured out the perfect way through AI to make TikTok video shorts and YouTube shorts. So go see us on TikTok at Chris Voss 1 and follow what we're doing over there. Lots of cool stuff going on and little bits of the show that are up there as well. As always, and we have the most brilliant minds in the show, and none of them are myself. James I. Bond is one of America's leading behavioral management specialists. He is the author of the award-winning book Brain Glue. And he did a TED Talk recently on it as well. So check that out. You can Google that on the interwebs in the sky. For 13 years, he ran one of Southern California's leading behavioral management firms, working with a who's who of American business. Early in his career, he ran an advertising agency in Montreal. And he is a workshop leader and past workshop chairman for the resource partner of the U.S. Business Administration. He's been a featured guest at 3 Southern California universities, and now he reaches the pinnacle of his career, joining us on the Chris Voss Show. Welcome to the show, James. How are you?
I'm awesome, Chris. How are you?
I am awesome as well. I am energized and emotionally pumped by us getting warmed up for this in the green room. Give us your .com so people can find you on the interwebs, please.
The easiest way is braingluepage.com. that'll kind of give you a whole overview of brain glue and me and, other things.
There you go. There you go. And where do we order this brain glue? Is this on Amazon?
Absolutely. It's on Amazon. So, and an easy way to do it is you can go to braingluebook.com and that'll take you to the Amazon page. But also, we're going to have fun today. So that'll be
There
really
you go.
good.
We're definitely gonna have fun. We always have fun on the Chris Phone. That's what the whole show's about. But it's great to have you on. Did you probably considered this selling like a little tube of brain glue just on the side, or I don't know. There might be some product liability there in case somebody actually tries to use it for I don't know an ear problem or something. But so tell us what motivated you want to write this book?
So I ran an advertising agency in Montreal. I live in Southern California. We've lived here for like 35 years. But in Montreal, I worked my way up and won major clients. Companies like Kraft Foods and Timex, Avon, Seagram's world headquarters is there. So all you boozers out there, ha ha. But I'm a logical person, and I created fantastic ads. They loved them and everything else. And we had the opportunity to win the anti-drug campaign in America. And so, of course, I'm a logical person, so I had powerful logical reasons why you should not do drugs. And they loved it until they saw the ad that they went with. And the ad that they went with was this guy holding an egg saying, "This is your brain. Crack the shell and drop the egg into a sizzling frying pan. There's your brain on drugs. Any questions?"
Yeah, and everybody remembers that campaign.
It's amazing. It was like one of the most powerful, but it was also emotional selling, not logic. There's no logic in it. It's a brain, but it's emotional selling. And emotional selling, I suddenly freaked out. I'm in advertising and marketing and life, and I don't know how to do emotional selling. I'm a logical person. And I realized, when you trigger the emotion sides of the brain, it's so powerful that it supersedes everything else. And they consider that one of the most powerful anti-drug campaigns that ever existed. And it was.
Yeah, it was.
So I thought, I can't figure out how to do this. They don't teach it in school. And so what I did was I wrote "Your Brain on Drugs" on a 3x5 card. And then I figured, you know what? Instead of me trying to overanalyze it, because I have no clue how to do this, why don't I create a passion box? I got a box and I call it a passion box. And I said, every time I see an ad or hear something that's just emotional selling, it could be a quote from a famous person. That's okay too. I said, I know there are patterns. I don't even have a clue what the patterns are. So I'll just put them all in the box. And then eventually, hopefully, I'll have enough things in the box that I'll be able to figure out like how emotional selling works. I remember I'd go with my wife. We were talking about it earlier. And my wife hated going to doctor's offices with me because I'd be flipping through a magazine. Because, doctor's offices always have magazines you don't read. For me, it's like, Better Homes and Gardens, or I don't know, Vogue magazine. And I'm going through it and I'm going, oh, wow. And she turns to me and goes, "Do not tear it out of the magazine." I said, no, I've got to put this in my passion box. And she's like, she moves as far away from me as possible. I do not know that guy. Okay. But it's after more than 10 years of putting things inside the box, the passion box, I met John Gray in Southern California. And John Gray was telling me how he wrote this incredible book, Men, Women, and Relationships. And it only sold a few thousand copies. And he was frustrated because he knew this was like a life-changing book for so many people. People loved the book who read it, but almost no one was reading it. So he's telling me how he got this crazy idea to change the title to "Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus," and to tweak the content a little so you refer to it throughout the book. Guess what happened? He went from a few thousand to 50 million books he sold, almost 500,000 just overnight. All because he changed the title, and it blew my mind. It was like, what is it about that title, "Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus," that suddenly made everybody go like, whoa, I got to have that. And so when I got home, I dumped the passion box on my bed, and I discovered that, first I realized as I'm writing "Men Are From Mars" on a 3x5 card that he used a metaphor. I mean, men aren't really from a different planet. I mean, maybe you and I, Chris, are from a different planet, but every other guy is not.
I mean, everyone knows that. I mean, we've been, us
there we
lizard
go.
people have been living on the planet for some time now. Yeah.
But I realized it's a metaphor. And I went like, is metaphor the answer to how to do emotional selling? So when I got home, I dumped the passion box on my bed and quickly discovered that metaphors is one of 14 brain triggers at the heart of emotional selling. I thought my
Ah,
brain was going to explode. It was like, whoa. You mean, and I'll give you some examples, okay? And I want to tell you, this is the missing piece. Go ahead.
okay. Let's do this first because we like to lay a good foundation and get people up to speed on your books. Let's move to the examples just after this, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Um, or you can use these teas on this, but give us like a 30,000 compact view of what's inside of the book and what it entails.
So people love the book. They say it's mind blowing and it's fast. It's bang, 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 bang. It's like you don't have to go through 300 pages of one point or anything else. Some are 2 or 3 pages, but it's mind blowing because it's like it teaches you something that you go like, I defy anyone to read this or read any of the sections and go like, oh, I wish someone told me about this before, because it talks about. I'll give you some examples, okay? I mean, you want me to hold it back in the examples, but I just want to relate this, okay?
Sure.
So, if the glove don't fit, you must acquit. Okay, most of us who are old enough to remember O.J. Simpson's trial remember that.
Yeah.
And that simple phrase was so powerful that it literally got him. I mean, he of course faked that the glove didn't fit him and all that stuff, or exaggerated it. But the point is, I remember after the trial, 2 of the jurors were asked, with all that evidence against O.J., and then there was a ton of evidence, why'd you let him go free? And they looked and they went, we knew if the gloves don't fit, you must acquit. The gloves didn't fit, so we had to acquit. Rhyme. And it's like, whoa. I heard this other one. In the early days of the bread industry, Wonder Bread invented sliced bread. You know, you've often heard the phrase, I've heard the phrase, you know, oh, boy, that's the smartest thing since sliced bread. Well, Wonder Bread invented sliced bread, but they bleach it, you know, so it's white and all that stuff. Well, 2 of the companies that hated Wonder Bread that were competing with them came up with this phrase. Are you ready for the phrase? The whiter your bread, the quicker you're dead. Okay. And it went, a Wonder Bread for 10 years dominated the bread industry. And these guys, they started telling it to journalists, and journalists started putting it in magazines and newspapers. The whiter your bread, the quicker you're dead. These guys are saying, blah, blah. There's an illness called pellagra, which is the absence of vitamin B3. When you have that, you have, it's like a COVID that we had, that suddenly you get sick. And so because Wonder Bread bleached their bread, they kill all the vitamins and minerals, a lot of the vitamins and minerals in it. And it literally threw them almost into bankruptcy. Everybody, because journalists loved the headline, because they knew that audiences are going to love the headlines. They said, the whiter your bread, the quicker you're dead. And it's like, can you imagine a headline in New York Times or I don't know, whatever, newspapers? It's like, what? You start reading the article. It forces you to read the article. Now, eventually, Wonder Bread came up with fortified food. They actually invented the concept of fortified, where they put niacin, which has lots of B3 in it. But it's like, a simple phrase, certain simple phrases are so powerful that we go like, whoa, you know?
There you go.
Huh, and they get us hooked.
And so the concept of brain glue is to make your ideas sticky. And so I guess this is what you mean by sticky, the examples you're giving us here, and making them stick in our brains. How much of it is repetition as opposed to having it strategically be, I don't know what the word is, but mnemonically or whatever, be triggering or have that the simplicity of the statement?
Well, here's the secret, okay? And it's a very important secret. If you're rich, like McDonald's is rich, and you can spend 100, 200, 300 million dollars on advertising, but most of us don't have that. So, but there are hooks that you can use to knock the socks off even major companies. I'll give you 2 examples. Okay. One of the things I have is trigger words. So Odwalla was owned by Coca-Cola, and it was the dominant, drink. Okay. Juice. And then along came these 2 or 3 guys, and they had this thing, and they said, you know what? We don't have the money to compete with Odwalla, but maybe we can be smart and come up with like a trigger word. So what did they call their beverage? Naked beverages. Naked beverages shot past Odwalla. Odwalla, these guys like had almost no money, and yet suddenly people started. You're walking a store and you go, no, naked? What the heck's that? You pull it off the shelf and you check it out. As soon as you pick it up, there's a better chance you're going to buy the thing. You go, oh, naked. Oh, it's all natural. Blah. I got to get this, and suddenly their sales shot past Odwalla, which was owned by Coca-Cola. I mean, Now, how about in the Western United States, we have In-N-Out burgers. Okay, now In-N-Out uses something called chiasmus, which is a flip. I'll talk about that in a while, but they're competing with McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's. I mean, these guys have hundreds of millions of dollars to spend, and yet In-N-Out is you can't go buy an In-N-Out without seeing a line of cars that are going in there to buy stuff.
Yeah.
Why? Because In-N-Out, first of all, used to be, we used to think of In-N-Out as sex. I mean, what is In-N-Out? Okay.
Really?
And you see a big sign, you don't remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you see the big sign, In-N-Out.
I still do, actually.
Really? And you're driving by In-N-Out burgers? Like, what? And it gets our attention. And then, and then people check it out. And what happens is we're so bombarded with information that you have to stand out. You have to find a way to stand out. I mean, we were talking a little bit about vodka, so I got to tell you this one. So this woman, page 0. How many people out there, if you advertise or you're selling a product or service and you try to advertise on social media? Well, here's a woman who is a mom, a stay-at-home mom, and she spends 0. And I'll tell you in a second how many fans she has. She's never spent a nickel on this, okay? She has over 5 million fans, okay? How does she get that? So she's thinking, I want to create a Facebook page. Let me think. So mommy needs time to herself. Mommy needs a rest. I know what mommy needs. Mommy needs vodka.
Oh, I was thinking
her page is mommy needs vodka. And here's how she got so many fans. So she'll post something and people will spread it, okay? And she has really fun posts. And so I see a post and I goes, oh, that's pretty funny. And then I look in the top and I see it's from Mommy Needs Vodka. What the heck's that? Click on that, take her to a page. She's got another cool post. I definitely have to be a fan. Click on that. Now I'm a fan. She's got over 5 million fans. And how much did she spend? 0. How many people spend a fortune? And you're lucky if you get 1,000 fans.
That's
and yet
true.
She's got 5 million fans. And it's because of trigger words and trigger phrases. When we understand trigger phrases, there are certain phrases that jump off the page like crazy. I mean,
there you go. So let me interject here. Thanks, Adam. He loves this info. He's got a book in his Amazon cart. There's an interesting story as to why people buy, and they buy through emotion. I think we'll agree, and we can expand them on. But what's interesting to me is there's a story behind the title of your book and how you reformatted the copy of it. And this is, I think, important for helping people understand the difference between selling with logic and why it doesn't sell well as when you try and sell with emotion, because people make, in spite of, all the, you can tell everyone the specs on a product and people are still going to buy emotion. So tell us that story, because I think that's really interesting. And it's a great description of the difference between logical selling and emotional selling, if you would.
So I'm lucky because I was able to interact with Jack Canfield. Jack Canfield wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul, which sold, the series of books sold 500 million books. Hey, if I made 50 cents a book at 500 million, I'm okay.
Sure.
10 cents a book, 500 million. Can you imagine? I mean, how many people are there in America?
That's true, huh?
But the title of my book was Sell More with the Right Brain Marketing Strategy. Well, guess what that is? That's not emotional. That's logical. Okay, I'm a logical guy, and I realized as I did this that the book is how logical people can sell emotionally and suddenly have your sales explode. I love to say, switch your pitch if you want to get rich, okay? And it works. But my book was called Sell More with the Right Brain Marketing Strategy. So Jack Canfield got pissed at me. He said, I've got so many books to look at. And I picked up your book. I just started looking at it and I couldn't put the damn thing down, which is, I'm sorry. Can I use that as a quote? He says, I'll give you quotes. In fact, I'm forcing everybody in my company. I'm buying copies for everybody in my company. And I'm forcing them to read this book, which is pretty cool. Here's a guy who's massively rich. I don't need to tell him what to do or give him advice. And yet he's like hooked on it. But he says, I'm going to give you quotes on one condition. You change the title of the book. The whole book's about brain glue, and you're calling it Sell More with the Right Brain Marketing Strategy. You're teaching us how to be emotional and emotional selling, and you got a logical title. What are you, nuts? I'm like, I'm sorry. And when you sell a book on Amazon, once you get a certain number of reviews, like 50 and 100 and all that stuff, then it goes into their algorithm, and it becomes, they help you sell the book even more.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like a lot. I think I had 70, 80 reviews. I said, really, do I have to? He said, yes, you have to. You want my quotes? You want us to love your book? You got to follow what you're teaching. So I had to change the name of the book to Brain Glue, which it's Brain Glue is what it is. Sticks to your brain like glue. And think about this, okay? A lot of people ask, like, why Brain Glue? It makes sense. I'll start a phrase and you can end it, okay? Jack and Jill went up the
hill.
Thank you. And when was the last time you heard that phrase? Like 10, 20, maybe 50, for me, like 50 years ago. I'm old, as we are. So what can I say?
Yeah.
And yet it sticks to the brain like on my deathbed. You could say, Jack and Jill went up there, and I'll finish the phrase, because it sticks to the brain. And I became fascinated by the fact that there are certain things you want it to pop off the page and you want it to stick to the brain. Warren Buffett, and it doesn't just work with titles of books and products that you're selling, although it really works with that. But famous people use this. Warren Buffett, who I did work with his company, by the way. They brought me on because I'm one of America's leading behavior management specialists. I had actually lots of fun with him. But the point was, he said, he has this great quote. He says, only when the tide goes out do you realize who's been swimming naked. Oh. I love that quote. And basically, he's saying, only when times get tough do you realize who's really good and ingenious and all that stuff, okay? But if you say that, it goes one ear in, one ear out the other. You go, like, okay, fine. But to say, only when the tide goes out do you realize who's been swimming naked, it's like, what? Huh? Wow, okay.
Oh, there you go. And so people buy with emotion. They are motivated by emotion. How much of repetition goes into this? Because it can be probably a good little rhyme. Does it have to be a rhyme? I guess that's another question.
Nope.
I'll just throw two at you if you don't mind. And how much does repetition go into this? Because even during the trial, you don't acquit unless the gloves fit. And I believe he'd gone off as arthritis or one of his medications to make his hand swell, is what it came out later. How much is the repetition a part of this, even once you get a good, juicy saying? And
this is the key. You don't need a lot of repetition. What did I say about the whiter your bread? The quicker you're dead.
The quicker you're dead, yeah.
Okay, now I said that before. Brain Glue. I say it once to people and I don't say it again. And they say, like, I'm so glad. Some people who know me, I'm so glad you changed the name because they couldn't figure out the freaking name of your book. I said, I forget what the title is, but I say Brain Glue and they go, oh yeah, it's called Brain Glue, Brain Glue. The key is when you have lots of money, you can use repetition. Okay. McDonald's, you deserve a break today, blah, 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 whatever else their ads are. Then Coca-Cola. They got hundreds of millions of dollars to spend to repeat it over and over and over again so it sticks. We don't have that luxury. So we need something that works, a hook. Okay. I'm old enough to remember, you probably are also, JFK, John F. Kennedy, who said, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. It was profound. And it sticks to the brain. And so what I know people, I would start saying that. I go, what? And they finish the phrase. And I said, you're not even old enough to remember JFK. He said, yeah, I just heard it somewhere once. And that's the power of Brain Glue is most of the tools, you can hear it just once. And you like, mommy needs what? Vodka.
Vodka.
How many times?
See, I need some repetition on that.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need the repetition for it to stick to the brain. And that's the beauty of Brain Glue is you want to pop your idea off the page or off whatever it is. If you're running an ad or something, or if you're telling somebody something, and then you want it to stick to the brain so that if they're not ready to buy right now or say yes to you right now, they will remember you. And what happens is you're talking before we started in the green room, you're talking about, somebody negative and all that stuff. I always remember this. Steven Spielberg, when he did Jaws, he got tons of fabulous reviews, except one. And I forget it was, but it was like this lady was world famous back then as a reviewer. And she said, it's a shame Steven Spielberg is so superficial. And it really pissed him off. And it stayed with him forever. And that's why he ended up doing Schindler's List, because I remember him talking about it. He said, it bothered me so much. I did E.T. and I did all these other movies that were massive blockbusters. And yet it's still that one thing that she said that was negative stuck in my brain. And my whole life was all about, I'd wake up and go, but I'm still superficial, you bitch. Sorry, my language, guys, but it pissed him off because negative, a gazillion positive and one negative review, and that one negative review stood out beyond the positive. And that's because of how we're wired. Our brain is wired a certain way. And so because of that, it just, there are certain things that stick in such a way. I mean, what's her name? Eve Ensler did the vagina monologues, okay? a play, okay, the vagina monologues.
It's hard to forget that.
You think if she said women's rights, if that's what the play was, that if she would have gotten as many people as vagina monologues? No. Talk about a trigger word. It's like, what?
Yeah. I mean, even kind of when she started doing it, vagina wasn't like a real popular word to use in common social circles, Well,
Mae West started at the beginning of the movie industry, and she was just amazing, absolutely amazing. I don't know why. I've never seen a movie on Mae West because she was the ultimate in women's lib, and she was smart. She had a play she created called Sex, and they actually came to her because it was crossed the line. Today, it wouldn't cross the line at all, but I think you can do anything almost on a screen or whatever in a play. But it was Sex, and they said to her, so Mae, you can't be running the play like this or we're going to have to arrest you. She goes, oh, please arrest me. I said, arrest you? Yeah. So more people will show up to my play. She understood this. She had some great lines. She said, she had such great lines. Women like a man with a past, but they prefer a man with a present. Show up with a present. Okay. She said, she had so many. Good girls go to heaven. Bad girls go everywhere.
Yeah.
I love this. Hopefully I'm not crossing the line with all you guys, but a hard man is good to find.
It's good to find.
She was famous. She was so famous that if they would have her in another movie, she was the only actress and the only actor actually that had the right to write her own lines. So she could add some of her own lines because people said, because she understood these power tools and how to write them in such a way that, that people would remember it and just the movies would actually get more ratings.
Yeah.
It's just because there are the brain has processes. It likes processes. Mm-hmm. I'll give you one of them is called chiasmus. Okay. And we've heard, once I start describing chiasmus, people go, oh, I know that. Okay. Winners never quit and quitters never win. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's a flip. Okay. President JFK said, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Mm-hmm. Then he said, mankind must put an end to war or war will put an end to mankind. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's powerful because it sticks. Malcolm X said, we didn't land on, here's a black guy talking about civil rights and everything. And people loved him because of how he said things. He said, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. The rock landed on us. I mean, that's much more powerful than saying, I'm a black guy in America. Do you have any idea how hard it is being black in America? It's much more powerful to say, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. The rock landed on us. People go like, oh, okay. He also said, when you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything.
There you go.
How profound that is.
Definitely. I mean, so what you're illustrating here is some of the great things that really stick with us and actually have led people to power, fame, and popularity, whether it's a movie star or politicians use mnemonics. Some of them are for hate. Hitler used a lot of, and mnemonics is the wrong word. Yep. I know I'm using the wrong word there. But using these short phrases and these sticky items, they've used them for good, bad, evil. Politicians have used them, what was the, I hear we'll just pull like a George Bush one senior. It was the read my lips, no new taxes, right?
Yeah, right. Or Biden's Build Back Better. You think it's a coincidence that he uses, or Trump's Make America Great Again, good, great again? I mean, you think it's a coincidence that these guys use alliteration, the repetition of sounds?
Exactly.
I mean, we have I have this product, Squatty Potty. I mean, this is not about selling more products. This is about persuasion. So you're, so all your things, so your ads, your emails, your social media posts, and you're just trying to persuade somebody. You're trying to persuade your boss to give you a raise. You're trying to show coworkers how something's really important. Here, I got this great one. So you care about pollution, right? So here's a line. Americans discard 2.5 million plastic bottles every hour. Boy, it sounds like a lot. How much is that? So one of the things I talk about is perspective, okay? So listen to it now. Americans discard 2.5 million plastic bottles every hour. That's enough to reach the moon every 3 weeks.
There you go. Yeah, that and then you think about that in your head.
Exactly, because now we have a perspective. You know, people say stuff all the time, and you know, I had this woman, because I do coaching for the U.S. Small Business Administration. You know, sometimes I get 20 or 30 people, but often it'll be 200 to 300 people, and I'm coaching, which is fun. And this woman comes up to me and says, "I love your workshops. I absolutely love them, but you scream. Why do you scream?" And I'm like, sorry. I started defending it. I came from a big family. What can I say? I just, you know, says, no. When you send emails, it's all capital letters. That's screaming. I'm like, oh, that's what she's talking about? Yeah. I thought she was talking about me talking because she said you scream. But she meant in my emails. And it's like, and how often does somebody tells us something, or worse, we tell somebody something that we think is just really amazing, and they kind of look at us and go, okay, I'm not really interested. I mean, I remember I tell a story in my book about Walt Disney. Walt Disney helped his brother and investors become rich with animation. Okay, that's what he did, animation. Then when he tried to sell them the idea of Disneyland, he said, no, we're not interested. He said, no, he said, no, I'm not interested. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't get through to them of how it's profound if we can take the characters that we're creating in animation and create a theme park based on that. But for whatever reason, he didn't say it right. And he had to go, he did a deal with ABC television that was new at the time. They loved him because he was famous, because he was Walt Disney. And he started selling Disneyland on the TV show. And suddenly, you know, after months, his brother and the investors went, oh, that's what you mean. Oh, what a great idea. I mean, here was a guy, he made them rich, and they still ignored him because somehow he didn't say it in a right enough way or show it in a right enough way that people went like, oh, I get what you're saying. We think people are listening to us. Most people are not. They're thinking about what time is it? I got to be so-and-so. My wife did this, or my husband did this, or I'm going through a divorce, or I just want a client, or how long is this guy going to talk, or whatever else. And we think they're listening to us, and they're not. And that's why we need to trigger the brain so they go like, what? I mean, Blue Emu, I love this ad. Blue Emu is anti-arthritis cream. And I saw Johnny Bench, the famous baseball player, doing the ad. And I'm doing something else while the TV's on. And Johnny Bench says, Blue Emu, it works fast and you won't stink. And I'm like, what did he just say? What did he just say? Blah, 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 blah. And now I'm listening to the commercial. Da, 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 da. And he says, yeah, remember, it works fast and you won't stink. It's like, what? It's like Vagina Monologues. It's like, you're going to sing it. She's got this play. It's called Vagina Monologues. It's called what? What?
Yeah. And emotion is a big part of selling and memory and everything else. I mean, whether you're dating, emotions is a huge thing. You can't just logically go out to people and be like, hey, we should mate and have kids. You know, there is emotion in it. People, every emotion sells. Like, you know, a lot of people say to me, you know, I don't sell. I'm not good at sales. And I'm like, no, you are. Yeah, you sold, you know, a girlfriend or wife or husband on how to marry you. You sell your kids on ideas to be good every day. Right. We're all selling 24/7, and a lot of us sell on emotion, and that's how it gets picked up. But you know, like memes, like it's interesting how memes stick too, and that's probably why memes are so sticky, and some of the things that we remember some of our most famous actors saying or politicians saying, right?
Absolutely. Well, I love happy face. You know, I'll do a text and you read the text and you don't know if it's positive or negative, and I'll put a happy face and they go, oh, okay, happy face. It triggers the brain. You know, if I'm pissed off at you, I'm not going to put a happy face, you know? And so, or I'll put a, you know, an unhappy face. But I mean, so memes are very important because they add an image to it that triggers a different part of the brain. And when you do that, it helps people better understand what we're selling. I mean, I love John Gray did Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. You know, I mean, what does that mean? Your brain doesn't go, okay, men are from a different planet, or is it talking about men from Mars? I didn't know Mars has men. No, we're not thinking about that. Our brain has to think through this. It goes, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. oh, okay, I guess he means men seem like they're from a different planet or whatever. I mean, the brain goes through all this processing while you're laughing, probably. I remember in the store, the first time I saw the book, I'm going looking at different books in a bookstore, and Men Are From Mars, Men Are From Venus. I said, what? Then I picked it up and I'm checking it out, and I go like, oh, that's kind of cool, But I picked it up. That if you're selling a product or a book in a store or something, you want people to pick it up and go like, what the heck's that? Naked Juice. Oh, what the hell's that? And if you have a, like you have your podcast, is you want people to go like, what? When you have a hook with anything, when you're trying to persuade your boss, you're trying to persuade your kids, you want to attract attention. I said, my wife, and I got a lot of guys have this with your wife or girlfriend, is I talk to her and I say, oh, wow, blah, 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 blah. And she goes, okay. I said, you weren't listening. She said, yeah, I was. I said, okay, what did I say? And she goes, okay, what were you saying? She looked like it. She had the body language. I thought she's listening. And then I realized, no, she's not listening because I'm used to her. But I mean, it's just, we have to understand that all of us, you see, used to be kids, but now it's even adults walking across the street looking at their phone, texting and all that stuff. We live in an over-communicated world. And so if you want to, persuasion is one of the most important skills you could ever learn. Certainly if you're selling products and services, you have to learn this, okay? But it isn't just that. It's persuasion. Like you want to pick up the love of your life. People love jokes. I do jokes. I'm terrible at jokes, by the way. But here's some jokes that come out of Brain Glue Tools. I'd rather have a bottle in front of me than a frontal lobotomy. Okay?
Yeah.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, congratulations.
There you go.
Okay? I'd rather wake up and pee than pee and wake up.
That's a good one. So let me ask you this. You talk in the book about how once you understand this concept, how do you use this for marketing? How do you develop these little sayings or rhymes or quotes? I mean, this is what a lot of major big ad agencies get paid. But say I'm an entrepreneur out there, or I'm a marketer, I run somebody in a marketing division. I'm listing this on LinkedIn. How does your book talk about how to build these, how to create them and make them work?
Absolutely. That's what the whole book is about.
Okay.
It starts with a description, then it gives the examples, and then it has exercises for you to do. And it's short and sweet. It's not. And so I'll give you an example. Like the first thing you want to do is, we're logical people, most of us. Okay. So you want to start with a logical description of what your product or service is. Okay. Or your idea. Okay. But you want to start with a logical description of that. You always have to start with that. You have to get it out of your brain. Okay. So it's clear. Then what you want to do is now you're going to start applying tools. And I'll give you 2 tools that you can apply, but there are lots of different ones. Mm-hmm. There are 14, and they're really powerful. People love them because you use multiple different ones. The first one you want to start with is a metaphor or analogy. My product or idea is just like blank. Okay. Chris Voss's show is just like jumping into a bowl of Jell-O. You're laughing and jiggling all the time. You're enjoying it. Okay. That's not right. But anyway, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
Spend some time and come up with so I'll give you an example of someone who came up with this pretty interesting analogy. So Paul Tran creates an electric razor to shave man's private areas. I don't want to get too much into that, but okay.
Sure, we get it.
So he wanted to create a name that everyone would know what the product does without offending anybody. So what do you think he came up with? How about the lawnmower? He calls his product the lawnmower. He eventually changed the name of his company to Manscaped. Okay, we're landscaping men with the lawnmower. And so he's sold like over $100 million. His company is so booming that big companies are trying to buy him out. And he's like saying, it's not enough. I'm having fun. And he hasn't, sold off his company yet. But it's just the lawnmower. I mean, who would ever think the lawnmower? But you want to come up with the craziest analogy or metaphor you possibly can. My product is just like a lawnmower. Okay. Yeah. And then he called the product that. What happened? So, by the way, laughers are buyers. That's one thing.
Laughers are buyers. I like that one. I got to remember that one.
So what happens is, I just bought, let's say I bought it. Well, I didn't, but let's say I bought a lawnmower. I'm not going to share it, by the way, first of all. But I bought a lawnmower, and I start telling my buddies, hey, guys, guess what I just bought? The lawnmower. With a lawnmower? What, you're mowing your lawn? No, I'm mowing my body, and you share it. And, one of the best power tools you have is to have a name or a concept that's so fun that people will share it with friends, so it becomes word of mouth.
There you
Okay.
go.
And it
Manscaping.
even works with phrases. But so that's the first thing is that. And then the second one is come up with rhyme. And so this lady, this mom and her son in Utah came up with this stool that you put your feet up. It raises your feet a little bit when you're on the toilet. Okay. I don't know why I'm talking about toilet stuff and vagina and everything, but it works. But
Sticks.
so she wanted, it sticks.
It's used daily.
So she wanted to come up with a really cool name, her and her son. And so they went, okay, so it's a toilet stool, but I don't want to call it toilet stool. That doesn't sound really good. Well, another word for toilet is potty. Okay. And what are we doing? We're having you squat. Squatty potty. Oh, let's call it squatty potty. In less than 2 years, they reached $100 million of sales and they have no business experience. Okay. How many people out there are struggling your whole life and you just make you're lucky if you make a few bucks. Here's a mom and her son and they made over $100 million. They went on Shark Tank and people are lining up to, we want to invest in this. Why? Because it's called Squatty Potty. The name triggers the brain. People go like, oh, wow, yeah, we got to get into that. And what you want to do is you want to trigger the emotion sides of the brain. You want to get, I saw this guy, I always remember this guy in a t-shirt that said, life sucks and then you die. And I thought like, no, we're living life right now. Life has to be awesome right now. I mean, although I do know a few people that can use that t-shirt, but I won't get into that.
Definitely.
But we don't want the t-shirt that says life sucks and then you die. We want to have fun. We want to, just enjoy life. And if we're selling something, we want our prospects, our clients, or our boss, or whoever else it is to enjoy interacting with us also. Just last thing on this issue. There's something called oxytocin that triggers the brain when you tell someone a joke. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's the opposite of cortisol. Cortisol is the fight or flight drug that goes through our body. So if somebody pisses you off or scares you, cortisol goes into your body and it stays in the bloodstream for up to 36 hours. Wow. The only antidote to cortisol is oxytocin. And oxytocin is if you tell somebody a joke, even if you're bad at it, and I'm terrible at telling jokes, by the way, as you probably heard, it triggers the part of the brain that makes people much more receptive to what you're offering. So I have two friends who are in the top 100 attorneys. One is in the top 10 attorneys in the country. I don't want to say who he is and all that stuff because I'll give away a secret. But we were talking about this and he was telling me, my secret tool is humor. When I go into a courtroom, I make the judge laugh and I make the jury laugh. It's one of the most important things I do because when I make them laugh, two things happen. First, they become much more receptive to what I'm offering. But second is they like me. Yeah. If somebody makes you laugh, hey, you guys want to pick up gorgeous girls? Jokes, even if they're bad jokes, girls love jokes. Okay. But and so do jurors and so do judges. And so his secret weapon, he says, people give me cases all the time that they know there's no way they can win. And I don't win every case, he was telling me, but I win a lot of these cases that nobody else can win. And in a large part is because I get them laughing. If I can get them laughing, they want me to, they want to relate and connect with me. I mean, it's powerful.
Definitely. These are the things that really work, and I love how you deliver with all the energy too, as well, to prove your point.
It's fun. It's fun.
There you go.
I want to switch your pitch if you want to get rich. Okay. I want to light the fire teach you how to light the fire of desire in your buyers. Okay.
There you go, man. Things are.
My hair's on fire.
There you go. So people need to pick up your book and read it. In the final thing, give us the final pitch on your book as we go out.
Well, life is short and you have to have fun. Okay. But you also want to be, you switch your pitch if you want to get rich. It's fun to make money. I remember the first time I started making a ton of money by applying this, and I made a ton of money. I crossed over 7 figures and I started thinking like, am I allowed? Did I just do something illegal? Because it's so freaky to cross over and start making a ton of money, but it's fun. And this will help you have fun while you're, making money and doing really well. And so have fun. Life is too short. Or we'll have the t-shirt, life sucks and then you die. We'll sell that to you, send that to you also.
That doesn't sound very fun, right? Yeah.
No, have fun. This is life right now. This is awesome.
Definitely. And make phrases, you made me really think how I'm going to approach my marketing and how to make phrases that are sticky and that do a lot of fun stuff. People love the interest of the Chris Voss Show because it has a lot of funny stuff in there that I put when I wrote it. And people will be like, brain bleed makes my brain bleed. What? And it makes education a little bit more fun when you think of it from, I don't know, an injury standpoint. I don't know. It's funny in that way. So very insightful, James, to have you on the show, and very exciting. I'm going to be enjoying reading your book. Give us your .com so people can find you on the interwebs, please.
So Brain Glue Book is an easy way to do that. That'll take you right to Amazon. That's the first one. I do have something called Brain Glue Page, and that will take you to a better description of what's in the book and all the awards. It's won tons of awards. I was on a TED Talk just now, which is really exciting. I got 3 universities that want to make this mandatory for everybody who's in marketing, which is really cool. I'm not allowed to say which ones, but it's very famous universities because they want to have the edge. But this will give you the edge. So yeah, braingluebook.com. That'll take you there so you could at least read some of the book too, because Amazon wants to do that.
There you go. Adam Husky ordered the book. He loves it. He thought it was awesome, and he just loves your energy, everything you put in the show. Thank you, James, for coming on the show. We really appreciate it, man.
Oh, Chris, thank you so much. It was lots of fun.
There you go. And hopefully it's stuck with people on their brain glue. So there you go. It'll be sticky, and we'll be sharing the show out. Thanks so much for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, YouTube.com/Chris Voss, and probably for the stickiest stuff, the AI posts we're making on TikTok. And those auto repeat, which is probably its own thing as to why TikTok is successful. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next time.